All right, welcome to episode 84 of the At Bat Podcast presented by War Media, where we give you our thoughts on the latest Chicago baseball news, as well as take a trip around the league. I am Saul Rodriguez, along with my co-host Miles Porter. Today we are joined by our special guest, Jacob Zanolla. How we doing, Jacob? Thanks for coming on, man.
Of course. Good. How are you guys?
Good, good, good. How you doing, Miles? How you doing today, man?
Hey, doing good. Hey, it's kind of hot right now. What's up with this thunder I'm hearing right now in Chicago? This is crazy, bro.
I
What?
know. I was thinking the same. I was like looking. I was like, I'm on the suburbs, but like, I'm like, damn, is that hail? It was crazy. I don't know what's going on, but of course, in Chicago and in the Midwest, man, like you can never predict the weather.
It's a
Even
mess.
if,
Absolute
yeah,
mess.
it's always. So, but now, like I said, it's gonna be a great episode. We got Jacob here, who, before we came on, I was telling him, he's been a sight for sore eyes on Twitter because look, the younger generation coming up, like, while they're great at making memes and all that, and Jacob is himself, like a lot of the content is great, serious baseball stuff, and I love to see it. He got his own podcast as well. So, Jacob, kind of introduce yourself to our audience and all that, and kind of what you're all about, as well as what you're going for. I've seen also on your bio that you're a contributor for Marquee Sports Network. So, kind of tell us about that too, and kind of where you fit in with all that.
Yeah. So actually, this is the third podcast I've been on that they've mentioned that. That was just a meme because they put my tweet on their thing once, and so somebody
Hilarious.
said, "Oh, you need to add this." And I looked, and half of Cubs Twitter that had their tweets been put on the games had Marquee Sports Contributor. So I do not work for them. I am not affiliated for them in any way. Let's get that out. That would be cool. But let's get that out of the way right now.
Hey, but we'll
I just
count
had
you as
one.
that though. We'll say we'll be like, hey, you market contributor.
Yeah, I didn't get paid, but unpaid labor. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
unpaid labor. Yeah, so I'm a senior in high school that is obviously a big Cubs fan. I have my own blog and podcast. The blog launched actually a week ago,
yeah.
and that's called Ivy League Cubs. So you can find that ivyleaguecubs.com, and then the podcast Stuck in the Ivy Cubs on all these socials. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I try to find a good mix. I feel like there's a lot of people that just do memes and a lot of people that just do boring baseball talk. And so I
Hmm.
try to find the mix of where I'm going to talk about legit baseball, but I'm also going to throw some memes out there because who doesn't love a good meme?
Yep.
If
Yep.
who doesn't love a good meme? So I'm trying to find the happy medium there. But then yes, hopefully becoming a baseball journalist one day in some aspect.
Hell yeah, no, that's awesome, and I feel like you do a great job with that. And like I said, like I'll send those tweets to my friends and stuff just because they're so goofy and like and we're on that Cody Bellinger thing because dude, like I feel like you tweet it every day trying to manifest it. And I hope I'm right with you because I hope that does happen.
Every day,
But
every day.
yeah, yeah, every day.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
but but I know, right? But we'll start off with that. I mean, there hasn't been again, like I feel like every podcast, we always like every episode we're talking about Bellinger in a certain way, like are they gonna get him? It's kind of a moot point at this point. But what have you thought about the Cubs overall off season? Because I feel like a lot of people are kind of they expected more, but then again, like as we always say, Jed Hoyer, works in silence or he's hibernating, whatever you want to say. So
Yes. Hmm.
what have you thought overall on the Cubs offseason?
Yeah, actually, one of my best friends came up with the hibernating thing, and then John Heyman and all these people are quoting it. I love it. Uh,
No, that's hilarious.
it's incredible. And now you got Bargain Bin, Breslow, and all this. Like all GMs have these new nicknames now. It's no, there's a Cubs group chat on
Wow.
Twitter that's just making up nicknames for all of them, and then all of these reporters were telling them, and they're using them. It's genius. Um, the tough part is you can't really grade the Cubs off season until it's over because we could be waiting until March. We will be waiting until
Mm,
March for at least two of these Boris clients. I'm starting to talk myself into Chapman just because I'm not
mm,
sure that Bellinger's happening. And it's a
mm.
road I don't like to go down because I don't want to talk myself into Chapman. But I'm also
Yeah.
like, okay. But you look at it, Craig Counsell right away. I screamed and threw down my phone out of excitement, realizing we actually got Craig Counsell. And then everyone's like, hey, they're going to be spending a lot. And then Jed went into hibernation for a solid 5 to 7 months and he just did nothing. And it was just, there was actually like everyone was saying, okay, what are they doing? Then obviously we got Imanaga. Okay. Then we got Bush and then Neris. So I think it's a very firm building block. I think we're that one piece away. We're that Bellinger away. I don't think that, and I don't know if we'll discuss this later, but I don't think that Chapman is a one off, like a one piece that you can get. I would pair him with Bellinger, but I don't think that you can just get Chapman and say it's a successful offseason. You had the chance to blow the division out of the water and say NL Central, that's the Cubs division. Now, even if you get Bellinger, unless Jed pulls off a trade, which is possible, there's
Mm.
always going to be but the Cardinals, but the Reds, you had the chance to say it's the Cubs division to lose. It's not. It's really not.
Yeah, no, and I think I mean you look at the favorite still is still the Cardinals on some betting sites and all that, which is ridiculous to me because I feel like they haven't made a substantial amount. Like I'm almost feel more scared of the Reds than I do the Cardinals if I
Yeah.
have to pick a team because of how stacked the Reds are talent wise. But Miles, I want to ask you as well, like what have you thought about the latest on Bellinger and like Jeff Passan came out? I think it might have been one of Jacob's tweets that I saw, or maybe we retweeted something, but I did see people talking about how a lot of his comments recently, Passan
Yeah.
made to radio station. He said, you know, that the Cubs, he believes the Cubs will get at least one of the four Boris clients, and then he also said that the Jays need Bellinger more than the Cubs. Which I mean, I thought about that, and I was like, I mean, is he wrong? Probably not, just because the Jays have just been so disappointing this offseason. But at the same time, like, you know, we want him more than
Yeah.
the Jays, I think, you know. But Miles, what do you think about those comments that Passan made, and also just kind of where, you know, as Jacob said, you know, if he's talking himself into Chapman, like, have you been doing the same thing? Like, is there somebody that you're getting prepared to, like, you know, usher in if the Cubs aren't able to get Bellinger?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly, you know, we know Scott Boras is very firm on how he likes to, you know, debate and negotiate his contracts. I, I can't really say there's someone specifically. I think Matt Chapman would be very solid, especially defensively. And I'm more in the camp of preparing to go into the season with what we got. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but like we're all saying, Cody Bellinger, he kind of just completes that puzzle, which would be incredible for us. And also at the same time, hey, you know, if we end up not landing it because someone will, um, you know, I got to ride with who we got. Bush has got to step up. I think Morel's going to have another great year, and I think there's so many things to still look forward to when it comes to the Cubs. Now, I'm not trying to talk as if I'm counting out Belly coming back to the north side. I would love that. He's such a great fit. But I'm in the camp where it's okay. Well, I'm also preparing myself to just move forward with the squad that we got, doing with what we have, and you know, putting together a solid season.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, like that's the thing. When I was thinking about what Passan said, is like, yeah, obviously they definitely needed more, and also the Cubs have way more pieces, younger pieces coming up, and that's the best part of it is that even
Yeah.
if they don't bring back Bellinger, that they still have a lot more that they could work with. Like by mid season, they could have a couple guys that are platooning, and it's a couple guys coming up, whatever they're decide to do, but they have a lot of avenues. I think that's the best part of it when I look at
Yeah.
the minor league system and all that. But Jacob, what did you think when you saw the seven Cubs prospects in the top 100? When you look at that, I mean, it's also kind of funny that like Michael Busch just snuck in there because of course we just got him. But what do you think about that, and who do you think is going to come up and make an impact? Obviously, Busch is probably the one that could make the opening day roster. Probably will make the opening day roster. But do you see anybody else besides like a PCA and all that that would come up like this season and make an impact?
Yeah. Well, Bush, I would say, is 99% chance. I mean,
Hmm.
that he's on the opening day roster just from everything I've seen. There's no way he's not unless he, falls off a cliff and just has a horrid
Hmm.
spring. And even then, I still think they probably put him on. I would say, I mean, first off, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have the best. We have one of, if the best, I'll say the best, and then Brewers fans and Orioles fans will yell at me. But I believe we have the best farm system in the major leagues. And the reason is not just these seven top 100 on the top 110, top 120. You can throw in 3, 4 more guys. We have those guys right on the brink that, hey, give it 2 months for some of the top 100 to graduate. Hey, the Cubs just added two more. Hey, okay, the Cubs had three prospects graduate. Cool. We just added three more. We have so many top prospects. Matt Shaw is a name that I'm really, really excited to see. And that's another reason why I'm hesitant on Chapman. And obviously, there's many ways to do that. The DH helps a ton. Without the
Hmm.
DH, and with still pitchers hitting, I don't know what we would be doing this season because we have the way I've been putting it is we don't have a lot of great talent, but we have a lot of good talent,
Hmm.
which is a good problem to have. That's a good problem to have. Problem is other teams have a lot of great talent, and we need to sign that great talent. I think it's very clear Jed is using this as a bridge year. We've said that the last 3 years, but I would not be surprised at all. Sorry, a little off your question. If Soto or Alonso, I think, are the main two targets next offseason,
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets at least one of them, which is why you could say, okay, he doesn't want to sign Bellinger. Let's see what we have in PCA. And then next offseason, he just spends. But then again, we said that this offseason.
Hmm.
It's very clear he wants to find the best value. The prospects, I would say PCA is someone that I would expect he won't be up right away. I would doubt they
Hmm.
put him on the opening day roster, but I would say give it May, June. I would say the main few guys are Horton, we will see up. Ben Brown, we could see up probably in the reliever role if he doesn't get moved. Him and Triantos are the most likely to be traded. And then I would say Matt Shaw. I mean, that dude's I can't really say that kid because he's older than me, but like he's a stud. I mean, that dude can hit. So if we can get work on that third base defense, if it's better than Morales, which is non-existent, there's no reason you don't put him, especially if we don't get Chapman, move him up to third, let him hit and see what he can do. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, you're right. And I think I think that definitely is how Jed Hoyer's approaching it. They'd bring a bridge here, but like I've heard other pundits saying, other people say, like obviously it's not what the fans want to hear, and that's true. You don't want somebody to be here and just to tell you to wait and be patient, because that's like the worst thing you can tell a fan base. And I think that's definitely what they're doing this year. And I mean, I know that next year's a free agent class is great. Unfortunately, it lost one with Altuve, signing the extension and all that, but and other guys as well. But Miles, who do you think in your eyes, or who do you want to see up, and who do you think will make a big impact? Because as Jacob mentioned, Kate Horan, that's the one I'm most excited to see, just because I feel like it's besides like a Justin Steele, the Cubs in the last like decade, they haven't necessarily been pitching heavy when it comes to prospects. So it's cool to see a guy like Kate Horan that's talked about so highly.
I love the thought of Cade Horton coming up and just dominating in whatever role the Cubs give him.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I know that has also been a very big point of emphasis for the Cubs over the past few years in terms of developing their young talent. They really want to develop the pitching, and so it was exciting to see that going forward. And also Matt Shaw, as was just mentioned. I would love to see this kid come up and just mash at some point. And that's such a cool point that you made, Jacob, where the Cubs have a lot of good talent, but not so much great talent, where other teams have a lot of great talent. And it is always, we never know with one of these prospects that we can have coming up. We might have the pieces that we need, and all of a sudden we call up one of these kids, 2, 3 of these guys. All of a sudden the Cubs are making even more noise than what was already predicted. So I'm excited for it. I'm hoping that if we are transitioning away from Belly, that this means that a lot of these young players in the minors, their time is about to come, and they're going to be given the opportunity to show us what they have.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that's, as you mentioned with like how, guys that are going to come up and by the end of midseason. Yeah, you're right. It'd be funny if like this whole time we want a Bellinger, we don't get him, and not like PCA's, raking in like July, and we just forgot about that. Like, I mean, as much as I want Belly, if that doesn't happen, that's what I really hope does happen.
If PCA starts raking, let me tell you something, bro. MLB is in trouble.
Yeah, because I mean, it's been great to see him defensively. Obviously, the offense left a lot to be desired, but it's short sample size. Obviously, I know a lot of people will kind of give him crap, and they're like, "Oh, he's not ready," all this stuff. But it's like, I mean, we all knew his defense was the one that was big league ready. It was the bat that kind of we needed to see a lot more development. So great to see there, that people still counting him in, and hopefully people don't forget about him, because I think he's going to make noise regardless. But another of the guys that are available out there, like Montgomery, Snell, like Jacob, do you see the Cubs at least? I know we've heard that like they made like offers to Montgomery and stuff like that, but do you think the Cubs could surprise everybody and go for something like that, or do you see more of like a trade for like a Class A? Because I know there's been also rumors that the Guardians are that they threw him out there, but they're not gonna. Their plan is not to trade Class A. But my dream was still a package of Bieber and Class A, and I was like, dude, I don't care who they take, to be honest, but whatever. Do you see more of a signing coming, or a trade by like I would say April maybe?
Class A, I would say, is not likely purely because they want Cade Horton, and I picture Jed throwing the phone and stomping on it into a million pieces and saying, "You are an idiot. Lose my number." With my number, because they're not going to give up Cade Horton for Emmanuel Clase. I'm not 100% sure on the problem with this offseason is there's so many reports saying A, and then there's other ones saying B. So Jim Bowden said, hey, the Cubs have offered to all of these players. And then I think it was Bob Nightingale said, actually, Bellinger's got no offers. And I'm like, who do I believe? I do think Snell, I don't think he's likely at all. I don't think Jed wants to deal with that risk. I don't want to deal with that risk. I don't think Montgomery is likely purely because I think he's a Ranger, and that's as close to a lock as you can have. It's waiting for the TV deal, waiting for that Texas TV deal, and just waiting for all of those little details to get finished, and then I would assume he will be a Ranger. I would say a trade, but also you look at it, it's tough because I'm also like trying to keep myself from going off on Jed by saying you should have done something earlier, which he should have.
Mm-hmm.
But you think about it, we do have an underrated rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Steele, Imanaga, Tyone really turned it on in the last, like I almost said last semester, in the last half of the season. And I'm in school mode. I hate it.
Yeah.
In the last half of the season, he really turned it up. Hendricks is consistent. Smiley in the bullpen worked really well. Jordan Wicks did really well. And then you have these starters, Cade Horton, Ben Brown. What are they going to do with Wesneski? Probably the bullpen. You do have this depth. I would love for us to trade for another starter. It won't be Dylan Cease. Pride. The White Sox won't give him up to the Cubs again. That would be an awful look on their already horrendous looking franchise. But they want the moon and back. Like they want Horton PCA plus. It's tough because there's not really that many pitchers that I see are available, but also there's probably some that are available that we don't know of.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some of those that they know are available, but we don't. And maybe they say, hey, let's say Brewers or just any team, Orioles, hey, is this pitcher available? And they say yes. You might as well ask. I think they're going to stay put. The one thing I would say is bullpen. They're going to look at least one more bullpen, probably a lefty. Tanner Scott, please. Tanner Scott, a trade with the Marlins. I know I've been told by many people a trade with the Marlins has been in talks, nothing close or anything. It's been in talks. I know they talked about that. That was a big conversation on Twitter. Was that last week when everybody started freaking out when the Cardinals Live guy started teasing it just to troll with us. I know there were talks. Not sure how serious they were, but if we could get Luzardo or Cabrera, that's my one point of emphasis trade-wise is Miami. They have pitching. They want hitting. It would probably mean giving up Christopher Morel, which I'm okay with because I know it hurts. That's why everyone hates me for it is I'm okay giving up Morel. I don't hate him. I like him. The energy, it's unmatched. I mean, anytime I go to a game, he comes over, he talks to me, he signs whatever I like. He's a great guy. Problem is, he has so much value. If we could get Edward Cabrera and Tanner Scott as a package from the Marlins, that right there, and get Cody Bellinger, offseason's done. You have one of the best bullpens in baseball with Tanner Scott, the addition, and then you have Eduardo Cabrera. That would be perfect. I mean, you can't beat that. So I guess to answer your question, trade with the Marlins. Just get something done with them.
Yeah, and look, you're right. Ultimately, like I know Miles is in the camp that hell no, we're not trading Christopher Morel. I'm kind of no, and I'm kind of in the middle of like I do understand like he has proven value. I think that's the thing that a lot of the prospects don't have that will make them and why that sometimes makes them harder to trade. A guy like Morel, we've already seen what he could do in not even a full season. So a team sees that and knows that what he can do and knows that he could do more. I think that's the one thing. And I think, and I've said this to Miles as well, like if there was a giant deal to happen with the Cubs and the Guardians, which it involved Bieber or it involved Clase or hell, both of them, or even like a Naylor Bieber thing, then I'm giving up Morel. Unfortunately, I don't want to, but you have to choose. It's also a good problem to have because there's so many guys that there are a lot of fans that are like, I don't want to give up Cade Horn, which I get why. You don't want to give up PCA. You don't want to give up Alcantara. I get it, but it's also a good problem to have because you can give up one of those guys and still have all those other guys, and that's the one thing. But Miles, like in your eyes, with a trade like that, like. Is there any room for you to trade Morel, or how do you see that situation in the way that like Jacob sees it on the flip side, right?
I think it's a great damn point, honestly. I totally agree, and I can see Chris Morel kind of just having a good time in Miami, just kind of partying out there and just
he does, he does.
He really fits that like Miami culture. That's what here and there.
Him and Jazz.
Oh yeah.
Oh
my.
Yeah, that's a lot of swag, man. This all right, I'm getting carried away. That's what I want. Look, man, I love the thought of kind of like more mature pitching depth coming over here. I totally get it. We have a lot of pieces that we can move. We have a lot of young guys who can step up and play. So when I think about it, maybe besides shortstop and second, most positions there are guys that are coming up that are ready to step up for this ball club. So I think it makes sense. I'm always in the camp of the more veteran leadership we have, the more depth that we have with our arms, the better that we're going to be. And so that's if it takes giving up my boy. I mean, yeah, sure. I'm right there. It'll hurt. I'll cry a little bit. But no, I think it would make sense.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Go ahead.
Sorry, I do feel it's a tough spot because Jed clearly trusts the farm system that he has built. But I saw a very interesting tweet the other day from a Cardinals fan. He said these were the Cardinals' top 15 prospects 7 years ago. One of those names was recognizable, and that was Patrick Wisdom. There was like one or two others that were like, okay, they were in the league. There was no one good, and these were thought to be, like one of a really good farm system. Prospects, I cannot pound this enough. Prospects are so risky. If you have a chance to trade prospects, you do. I'm not saying trade the whole farm system. I'm not saying, hey, line them all up and say, you're a Marlin, you're a Mariner, you're a Met. No, but if you have someone that says, hey, we will give you proven major league talent like Scott, Cabrera's obviously young, way younger, but hey, we'll give you that, or Luzardo, even Arias, Jazz Chisholm. We don't know. Maybe he's available. Sounds like they're pretty much selling everybody but Alcantara and Perez. If you can get it, or look at other teams, Logan Gilbert. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen my tweets. Oh, I would do almost anything for Logan Gilbert on this team.
Yeah.
But if they were to say, hey, we want one of your top prospects, good. Because then what if we look back in 10 years? Hey, that prospect was up for 20 games and then he ended up never playing again. And we got Logan Gilbert who shoved for us for 4 years. Prospects are so risky. That's why I'm not a prospect hugger. I don't hate prospect huggers because I get it. But major league talent, get major league talent, win now. Just win now.
Yeah, and we've seen it work out before. I mean, I think anybody would be okay having Gleyber Torres back on the Cubs right now, but like he's out there with the Yankees, and like look what happened. Look what happened when we gave him up. And at the time, I still remember that deal. And at the time, I still remember it being like, damn, like Gleyber Torres, like he really does look like he's going to be a great major league player, and like but obviously World Series is way more worth it at the end of the day.
You do that now, right? If you were to ask now, hey,
look, no doubt,
Gleyber's a top 10 second baseman. Are you still doing that deal? Yes, you do that deal without a question. Yes.
Exactly. And then that's and you mentioned it too with Luzardo, the dude, that's the guy that like I would like and Tanner Scott. Don't get me wrong, he's nasty too, and like we need more bullpen depth. And I just like I've seen some people being a little satisfied with it. I'm like, no, I want more. We need more bullpen depth, and because you can never have enough. But with Jesus Luzardo, like that dude's so nasty, and like having him in the rotation would just be even like better. But and Jacob, what do you think about the lefty thing? So, for example, like if they were to get like Luzardo in that deal, for example, do you see, because obviously we already have Imanaga, we already have Justin Steele. Are you guys, and I'll ask both of you guys this question, are you guys the believer in the camp that you can only have a certain amount of lefties in your rotation, or do you think nowadays it's like that's gone away a little bit? We'll start with you, Jake.
I would say it's gone away. If anything, it helps just because you don't. I mean, you look at middle school, high school baseball, and everything, and it's like you face a lefty. Oh my gosh, I'm facing prime Greg Maddux himself. Like you just don't see it. In the majors, you see it more, but still, you don't see that many lefties. So I think lefties are valuable. And also, who cares if they're a lefty or a righty? Can they shove? Cool. Put them in the rotation. Like, I don't care. I don't care what handedness they are. With the bullpen, I think it's a little more pertinent and a little more important to have the handedness. I mean, you have Little and Smiley as your main lefties right now. Get Tanner Scott. Scott Alexander's another name that I know we've been talking that is of interest to the Cubs and should be. I would say it's tough. Jordan Wicks. What do you do with him if you get Luzardo? But it's also like I don't want to block Luzardo because if you get Jesus Luzardo, that's exciting. I don't think you trade Wicks. You have a lot of good players, and it's a tough puzzle for Jed. And obviously, I'm curious what you guys think about this, but it's a tough puzzle for Jed to say, okay, am I okay to lose a 3-point value here? Because I'll get a 4-point value. So sure, I'll lose 3, but I'll get 4, or I'll get a 3.5, or a risk of a 5, or maybe a 2. It's just so risky.
Yeah, and I've actually thought about with the Wicks thing, and like, I mean, to be honest, I'm not saying he should go to the bullpen, but in a scenario where they got another lefty and he goes to the bullpen, I feel like he'd be pretty nasty out of the pen with that changeup and just his whole arsenal would be great to see like coming out of the bullpen. But
6-man rotation.
That too. And if anything, And if anything, with Imanaga, he's used to the 6-man rotation,
Mm-hmm.
so that also does help as well. I've heard because I know me and Miles talked about it a little bit too. The fact that like we're wondering how they're gonna start Imanaga, like maybe like I don't know, like maybe he could be a long man sometimes on a certain day or whatever it is. How they're gonna work with him. But Miles, in your eyes, how do you see that the amount of lefties in a rotation or amount amount of lefties like in the bullpen? Like how important is it, or like would you rather have less, more? Like how do you see that in scenario?
I'm just like what Jacob said. If they get
Mm,
shoved, then they get shoved.
yeah.
And I really don't know if it. I don't think it matters too much nowadays as well, as we're really seeing the game, kind of evolve over time. If you can go out there and give me a good amount of innings and a decent start every single time, I don't really care. Um, I would definitely be more strategical when it comes to my bullpen for sure, in terms of certain key situations. But for the most part, I don't really think it matters. I think the more arms you have in terms of guys who are able to give you quality innings and quality starts, these are the guys who I'm going to be calling upon, whether it's the rotation or the bullpen. And I really like that 6-man rotation idea as well,
Mm.
as that could be something that Jed looks into, Jed and Craig Counsell look into going into 2024. So I'm not opposed to it. For me, I'm all about the game evolving. If you can give me some good innings, go out there. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the way I see it too. Like I'm not for or against. Like it's all like whatever works better for us. Like, dude, try whatever. And I think especially
Yeah.
with Imanaga, his first year in the big leagues. And I mean, I'm sure all you guys already have seen that video with or people that are bringing back up with the video of him against Paul Goldschmidt. And like just look nasty against him, and Justin Steele talking
Yeah.
about Imanaga looking nasty, and then whatever. But yeah, it's cool to see, and I'm really excited to see how Imanaga kind of fits into all of that. But moving on, I want to move on because I want to ask you guys. The last thing about the Cubs is the promotional giveaways came out today, and the video was really goofy, and they had like Pat Hughes out with the sweater, which it really is. It has to be the best giveaway of the year. Like it's between that and maybe the Morel bobblehead, because they have a Morel bobblehead that like you could take the jersey off, put the jersey back on. Like that's pretty sick.
That's
What'd you think? Yeah, yeah. What'd you think about that, Jacob? And just like the promotion they're doing, and which one's your favorite? If it is the sweater, like I don't blame you because that thing is thing goes hard. Not gonna lie.
The video was genius. I mean,
Yeah.
the Cubs promotional team, they've won awards for it. Like they're great.
Yeah.
My favorite part was when Hap, he doesn't smile, and so they're like, "Hey, Teddy Bear, we have coffee. We have coffee." And I was like, "It's perfect. It's genius." I already had this plan to go to that game that with the Pat Hughes sweater. I was already going to,
Ooh.
and I'm going to the game. And now that I have that, I think I know what ticket I'm going to buy, because I don't care if it's like, Jacob, you're 18. Why are you wearing that? I don't care. I don't care. Like that sweater is perfection. That's my favorite. The Morel with the removable jersey is pretty neat, but it's Pat Hughes. Like
Yeah.
it's Pat Hughes. That's all you have to say. It's Pat Hughes. Like it's incredible.
No,
It's
and
genius.
yeah, and you know what's funny is like I have one of my brothers is around your age, Jacob, and you guys are bringing back those types of sweaters, low key, like the sweaters of like the '90s and all that. You guys are bringing them back, and for good reason. I mean, they're like I was making a joke because I'm like one of these sweaters my brother had. I'm like, dude, it looks like the sweater that Neil has from the Santa Claus, like that dude rocks like those types of like line sweaters from the '90s. They go kind of hard now, so I'm not gonna lie. Miles, did you see that video? And then what did you think about some of the promos? I know you're going to you're going to opening day, right?
Not opening day. I go
Opening
I
day or
go to when the
Saturday?
Dodgers come to town for that Friday.
Oh, the Friday. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I think wait, is that I'm pretty
It's
sure that's
Saturday. I was gonna say I'm going to opening. I'm going to the home opener, and then I'm
uh-huh.
gonna come back up for the Saturday Sunday games against the Dodgers. So I'll just miss
Oh,
you.
okay, okay. Yeah. Okay. So, in Miles, for you, which promotional giveaway do you like the most, and which one are you looking forward to? Because I know, like I said, that Saturdays that of the first series against the Dodgers got that sweater. But what do you think about the giveaways, man?
Oh man, I'm not going to be there on that Saturday. I'm going to be on there on that
Mm.
Friday,
Mm.
man. But I mean, I got to get the Morel bubble, man. I gotta just rip the jersey off. Bro,
Hell
come
yeah.
on. Um,
And
no,
then he
yeah,
gets
I
traded a
think,
day later.
yeah, yeah.
Then you'll
Somebody,
cry and
yeah.
a
Somebody
Moreau
put this away
shrine
at
with
the
the
deadline.
bobblehead.
Here you go.
Yeah,
No,
somebody said that they did the jersey thing so you could put the new jersey on. I was like,
Oh,
oh
that's
no.
genius.
that's funny.
Yes.
That's funny. That's a cold joke, and I don't think it's funny. Listen. Uh, No, I mean, the Cubs, they're like their social media and marketing team has always been really, really good.
Yeah.
And I was noticing this even way back in like the KB hobby and the Brizzo days, basically.
Yeah, the
And they
Brizzo.
had like all
Brizzo.
these funny like promo videos. I just I don't know. I'm up for all of it. I think the bobblehead's gonna be great. What is that, sweater on that Saturday? A sweater, long
Yeah,
sleeve?
yeah. It's the Pat Hughes sweater. Yeah.
Dang, all right, I guess I'm going on Saturday too. I didn't
Yeah.
get a chance to watch the full video yet. I've been working all week,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, I love it. I know they always got some good stuff in store, so whatever they get, I'm getting it. My dad, he loves all this merch, so he just doesn't matter what it is, he'll get it. So
Yeah, here I'll show you the Pat Hughes sweater looks like this. Wait, hopefully it doesn't. Oh, there you go. It's like kind of
oh my gosh,
the background there. But yeah, they're doing that because it looks like the sweater that he wore at his first game calling the Cubs, and but yeah, and that's where is badass. So it's pretty cool that they're doing that in general. But one of the last things we'll fly through these last couple of things I wanted to ask you guys, but what have you guys thought about the White Sox and their stadium renderings? Because obviously, the talk is, they're trying to get a stadium in the South Loop and all that, and the new renderings came out. They look honestly, they're pretty cool. So, Jacob, what have you thought about that whole thing, the whole conversation, and just like the renderings that came out? Because I feel like that skyline's gonna go crazy, like just if they actually do that. And as much, and we always talk about it in the show that me and Miles, like, we love going to White Sox games because you get to see all the AL teams, even though it's different now. The season's a little, cut a little differently. But like for you, what are your thoughts on the whole situation with the White Sox?
Yeah, when that first came out, I actually sent a few laughing emojis as a joke to tick off White Sox fans. It worked. I had every White Sox fan I mentioned. I got canceled so fast. But no, jokes. It was bad. It was really bad.
Okay.
But jokes aside,
That's hilarious.
I think it's cool. And those renderings, those look sick.
Yeah.
Clearly, I never want anything other than Wrigley Field for the Cubs.
Oh yeah.
But those look like, especially with the skyline.
Yep.
That looks pretty. I've been to the White Sox Stadium once. I got Mike Trout threw me a ball. College kids stole it away from me. Long story. But long story. That's why I hate the White Sox. No, but the stadium's nice, but the new stadium, oh my gosh, that looks beautiful.
Yeah, no, I really hope that does happen, and hopefully it's not a big tease. Like, as much as would be funny just like make fun of the Sox fans for that, if that doesn't work out, I still like going to those games and just more baseball. Like when people were talking about the Sox moving to Nashville, like as funny as it would be to make fun of Sox fans, I also don't want to lose another baseball team because it's like it's more baseball. Like when the Cubs aren't here, you can go see a Sox game. But Miles, what did you think about the renderings in general and just like the whole situation? Because I'm not sure. I don't think I was able to ask you last time about the whole White Sox moving to the South Loop if that does happen.
Yeah, I think the potential of the thought of it is actually exciting. If I'm a Sox fan, I'm excited by it. I know there are a lot of Sox fans that really like guarantee rates field, and I don't think it's a horrible stadium. I think obviously there's still things here and there they could change, but the potential to transform South Loop, especially with the skyline right there, that'd be incredible. So I saw the renderings as well. It looks really cool. Maybe they'll make it a retractable roof. I don't know. I just think the thought of what they can do and kind of not restart, but kind of like resurge some of the energy and enthusiasm of some Sox fans. I think that would be really, really cool. And South Loop, the area that they are, predicting, it's the world's your oyster at that point. There's so much they can do, build an entire neighborhood, around the Sox. Obviously, with where they're at now, that doesn't exist for multiple reasons. Parking lot, the neighborhoods that they're near. There's a few reasons that go into that. That's no one's fault. But this is kind of a way to kind of start over for them a little bit, and kind of rebrand the White Sox quite a bit. And also other players who maybe we would want for the Cubs or the Sox want, they see something like that, on top of maybe putting together a decent ball club that might draw some big names in there. So from a Sox fan, I'm on board with this. I really am.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing I think people haven't been talking about enough is like, you move there, then more people maybe want to play there, more people want to go there, whatever in general. So that's the cool part. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is, so MLB The Show, the cover came out last week. A lot of people were disappointed in who it was, even though we all know Black Girl's nasty and we know he hits tanks. We know he wins home run derbies, but at the same time, I just think it should have been someone else. That's just me. First of all, I want your take on it, Jacob, and then also who would you have had on it if you didn't want Vlad on it?
Well, I would have had Nico Horner. No, Cody Bellinger, give me some of that.
Hell yeah,
I think
why not?
Miles Mastroboni, I wouldn't have been against it. Uh,
Jeez.
I think it was surprising that it was Vlad, just because if he had a
Yeah.
down year for his
Mhm.
standards, the cover looks amazing. I mean, I
Yeah.
did love people made the McDonald's references, and the color scheme is similar. The color scheme is eerily similar, but
That's hilarious, bro.
yeah, I mean, I'll have to send you guys. There's some really good edits of it, but it's a really cool looking cover. And like you said, it's Vlad, especially if he can find that spark again.
True.
I
Yeah.
wanted
Yeah.
Acuna or
Mhm.
Rodriguez. I know there was
Yeah.
some complicated, they were on the covers of other video games, so they couldn't, something like that. But
Yeah.
without all those dumb rules aside, Acuna was the choice, or Rodriguez, and I think they'll be the choice very soon.
Oh yeah. What about you, Miles? Was there anyone else? Like, what did you think about the cover, and then who would you have chosen differently if you wanted someone else?
I mean, I wonder. I think, and this is where it gets a little bit confusing to me, because I feel like maybe do they ask these players if they want to be on the cover? Do we know if some players maybe have said no because there's like some sort of superstition? Now, what is it? It was like the Madden
Like
curse,
Madden
if I'm not
curse.
mistaken. I don't know, man. I'm curious
Yeah.
if like maybe they did ask certain players that we wanted, and they were like, no. Because listen, I don't care what you say. Why is Jazz Chisholm on
Mhm.
23?
Yeah, I
I don't
know.
care what I don't care what anyone tells me. Like I said earlier, he has a lot of swag. He actually
Yeah.
showed a lot of great things last year. Come on, bro. Look, I guess maybe someone that comes to mind, maybe like Nolan Arenado. I would have loved to see on there. Him being my favorite player. I play third base and he plays third, and I try to model my game after him and Aramis. Yeah, I think Nolan Arenado would have been a cool choice as well. But I don't know if Nolan Arenado is like the video game cover kind of dude.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not sure if he's into that or whatever. But you're right. There probably is definitely a lot of people that weren't down to be on the cover. I mean, there's
Yeah,
always like some guys don't like it, whatever.
there's no way
Um,
Vlad. There's no way Vlad, especially after his season, there was no way he was the first choice. I can almost guarantee, like, there's no way.
yeah, I know.
Right,
I get.
exactly. Yeah.
He's
I
cool.
agree.
He's not the first choice.
I agree. I agree. But I think it's a good place to wrap things up for this edition of the At Bat Podcast presented by War Media. Check out all of our other stuff with Sports Zone Chicago. I want to thank Miles Porter, as always, for joining me. Jacob Zanolla. This will not be the last time, man. We'll definitely be more than happy to have you on again, talk more Cubs for sure. So follow Jacob at JZ2016 Cubs. Thank you for joining us, man. And for everyone watching, thank you as well. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Thanks for having me on.